Vergil made his debut at 154, and he won by, what was it, first round stoppage? I think it was.
No, you're actually right. First round
Yeah.
TKO. He stopped him.
So a
And he
couple
just
takeaways.
curled up. I just remember
Yeah,
him just curling up, and he just
exactly. A couple takeaways from that fight. Vergil weighed in at 156, so he didn't quite make 154. That's a little worrisome because he moved up because of trouble making 147. Obviously, it was affecting his health. But is 154 hard for him to make too, or is, like, or maybe we'll see him do better later on, right? But now, as far as 20 weeks go, people are saying it was a quick stoppage. I mean, the guy really wasn't. So his hands was up. I don't think the punches were getting through clean, but nothing was coming back, right? So the stoppage may be a little questionable, not to the extent of Rolly Romero, but Tony Weeks hopped out to defend himself, and he's saying, hey, prior to this, the guy tested twice, I think positive for brain aneurysms.
I believe so. Yeah.
And then the third time, all of a sudden, everything was good, and they let him go into the fight. So he had that on his mind and his conscience, like, yo, I'm not gonna let this get out of hand. So do you applaud Tony Weeks for that and say, you know what, boxing is a bit of a dirty game, for even just, trying to get the cash out of this guy who obviously probably wasn't right? Or do you think he's just making this up to defend himself?
I think it's a little bit of both, but with the added information now, with the testing positive for the brain, I think he made the right choice, honestly, ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think he ultimately made the right choice. But I think it's the scrutiny he's getting is also following that terrible stoppage with Barroso versus Rolly Romero, which kind of looks sus. And then you come and you stop this fight. So that was the uproar where people was like, yo, here we go again. But then when he came and defended himself, I think people now can understand, like, okay, I get your point, right? Yeah. But that doesn't necessarily absolve you of the wrongdoing you did between Barroso versus Rolly. So,
right, and it's just crazy, like to think that people are privy of that information and they still let him go in there and fight. If that is true, because something terrible could have happened, right? I do think the guy seemed like he could have made it out the first round, but I doubt he's gonna make it out the second round. He's gonna get hurt probably bad. It didn't seem like he had a lot of fight in him. He was kind of just like curling up. And we do know Vergil Ortiz hits pretty hard, so I think there are probably some more instances. Obviously, if you go on Google or the internet right now, they could probably show you some more witnesses. I'm sure the conspiracy theorists out there to probably put a compilation together of bad stoppages, just like how they got a compilation of, I forgot my man's name, but every time he ref Chris Paul,
with the odds,
every time he ref, and remember that it's like Chris Paul, right? Every time this one ref is refing, like Chris Paul, like 0-19 against him or something. I feel like that's like where Tony Weeks is trending, but. Nevertheless, so Vergil Ortiz handles business as he should have, right? But then after, he called out Tzyu, right? And man, that's an interesting fight. I would say two heavy hitters there. I would, I liked Vergil at 147. I was always saying, people should have pushed the fight more with him in boots, but obviously he can't make the weight. He couldn't even partake in the Stanionis fight. But I think him and Tzyu is a pretty good fight. Do you like that fight?
I really like that fight, and we used to talk about Vergil Ortiz. I used to be really big on Vergil Ortiz, especially in his come up. He stopped everyone he fought. He's a dangerous puncher, and Tzyu has been having a phenomenal year. So I think that will be an exciting fight because it's going to be fireworks. I would definitely tune in for that fight, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't go too in depth in the fight unless it was announced. But Tzyu is interesting. I just feel like each fight he's just getting like better and better. Especially that last performance against Brian Mendoza, another big puncher. But he kind of like really neutralized him. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be interesting to see what he could do against a guy like Vergil Ortiz. But Vergil Ortiz is a strong guy. We've seen him knock down, get back up, and stop. I think it was Mean Machine, right? So we see him down and show some grit to get back up and still get the stoppage. So yeah, I think that would be a fire fight between him and Tzyu. I mean, I do have who I'm leaning towards my head right now. I'm not going to share that right now. We'll do a prediction if the fight does get made. But I'm excited to see Vergil at 54 just going after the big fights. Ain't no sense in taking these little pity fights. Let's just get straight into it. And as you mentioned, I think now he's like 20-0 with 20 stoppages. That's similar to like Artur Beterbiev. I think also Gary Anton Russell has won all his fights by stoppages as well. The difference between the three though is Artur is a unified champion at the light heavyweight division. I know he has a fight coming up with Calvin Smith. Not gonna go into that one at all. I got Artur in that one. Hopefully, he does his thing and then we get the unification bout with Bivol. But the undisputed bout with Bivol, actually.